This week, by the numbers, 114 Iraqi immigrants arrested, 5 charged with manslaughter in the Flint water crisis, another 5 people shot in Alexandria, Virginia, and 1 obstruction of justice investigation. Today is Sunday, June 18, 2017, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. I hope you're enjoying this start to Father's Day 2017. We have had yet another week in which the flow of news was so precipitous that it was difficult to keep all of the week's events in their proper context. Now, understandably, the shooting in Alexandria, Virginia at the Republican congressional baseball practice took up quite a bit of the oxygen in the news universe. It was such a stunning event, such an affront. And to hear Michigan Congressman Mike Bishop recount looking down at his baseball cleats and seeing that they were covered in blood, though he wasn't sure whose blood it was. We were properly and appropriately horrified. But it also meant we were perhaps less focused on some other rather stunning developments. The ICE arrests and planned deportations of immigrants that their family members said in some cases amount to a death sentence. The news that President Trump managed to tweet out himself that he is apparently being investigated for obstruction of justice regarding the Russia investigation. It also included another round of tweets that some of his supporters again felt unwise. Then there was the revelation that Mayor Duggan's Detroit demolition program is the subject of a grand jury investigation. Then came the decision from Attorney General Bill Schuette to file involuntary manslaughter charges against several state officials in connection with the Flint water crisis. That was followed by the governor's defending of some of those charged, and then Schuette not really willing to say that the governor wouldn't be charged himself. We're going to dig into those stories a little more deeply this morning. We're also going to sit down with David DiChiara, stepping down from the Michigan Opera Theater after decades as a real Detroit champion. It's all this morning on Flashpoint. To get to. Let's get right to it this morning with this morning's roundtable. Great to have our legal voice on Flashpoint back with us again. Professor Peter Henning from Wayne State Law School and a former federal investigator and prosecutor. A lot to talk to him about this morning. Nancy Kaffer is here from the Detroit Free Press. Chastity Pratt-Dawsey, the Urban and Cities reporter from Bridge Magazine, back with us again. And Nolan Finley, editorial page editor of the Detroit News. Gang, thank you all very much for being here. Peter, the lawyers have finally gotten their way. There is no way to do anything without having a law degree or to understand any of the events that we're talking about this week. So let's start with Flint. This was an extraordinary thing, I think, to watch state officials being charged with involuntary manslaughter in really a portion of the Flint water crisis. It was really about the Legionnaires' outbreak.
Well, the entire Flint water crisis is extraordinary. We haven't seen this really before, but the real challenge for the Attorney General's case is, can they prove causation? Yeah. Can they prove that, yes, the water was contaminated, but did it cause the Legionella bacteria? And then did the failure to warn result in any type of death? Those are going to be real challenges for the prosecutors.
I've talked to Bill Schuette about this a little bit, but I'm fascinated at where the line is between criminality and ineptitude.
Well, you know, there's the old line, once they make stupidity a crime, then a lot of us are in trouble. These are people who may well have been negligent, but for manslaughter, it is gross negligence or recklessness. Yeah. Was it reckless not to warn? And then, of course, did that failure to warn result in the death of the one victim they've identified?
Nancy, you've spent a lot of time on the Flint issue. What are your thoughts?
What's clever about the way this charge is constructed is it removes the necessity of actually doing connecting the Legionnaires and the water issue.
Water itself.
What it does is it says you knew about this by a certain date, didn't warn for a year, and if you had warned in that time, action could have been taken to prevent this, which I think is still, I'm not a lawyer, but sounds like a heavy lift in court, but it has kind of sliced out the most ambiguous part of this case and put it into this other realm of whether or not the failure to warn prevented steps that could have been taken that would have prevented this death, which, again, heavy lift.
I don't think it does that at all. I don't think you can disconnect from the cause. I mean, if you didn't warn people about something that didn't cause the death, I think you can't justify manslaughter. You can justify negligence, but he charged them with manslaughter, which means you've got to establish that connection between your actions and the death.
Let's be clear. They knew there was a spike in Legionnaires. What they don't have to do is connect that back to the water switch, because there's no question that there was a spike in Legionnaires. Where it came from is the part that they've removed from this equation.
I don't think that's true. I'd be interested in hearing Peter's.
Mr. Esquire?
Well, you do have to connect those dots. You have to say that if you're going to say that it was the water and the failure to warn about the water resulted in the death, then you do have to make that link. This is going to be a battle of the experts.
It's a failure to warn that there was a spike in Legionnaire, which we all know is transmitted via water.
But you don't know where
and
the
by
water
a number
came
of
from,
other.
whether it was
But see, a case like this,
or the Flint River.
The question is, in court, is it going to really come out finally what everybody knew and when they knew it? There's huge gaps in the timeline. There was a year between the time where the governor's office found out that there was Legionnaires and the public found out. What happened in that year? We know, Bridge, we wrote a story about 200 people got pneumonia and died, and they weren't tested, and they might, you know, also be connected. And so another question is, why only one case here? I know people in Flint are saying 12 people are dead. Why not 12 charges of manslaughter here?
So, I mean, I would, and again, not a lawyer and not on the inside of these
We
talks,
have one,
but I mean, they've narrowed this down to what they think they can prove, seems to be the...
Well, what they can prove and what their experts have told them that they can prove. The real challenge is going to be that you've got scientists up there who will never give you a definitive answer. Yeah. They will tell you that it is, well, it's more likely, it's 80%. Criminal case is beyond a reasonable doubt, and so the defense is going to sow the seeds of reasonable doubt.
The obstruction of justice, though. The obstruction of justice is interesting because there was a time during this whole investigation where we asked them for information, and this is Eden Wells' office, Eden Wells, who is charged with obstruction of justice, and they said, sure, Chastity, you can have that for the low cost of $13,000. You know, so, you know, it's interesting to me that now her office is being charged with obstructing justice and lying to investigators.
Let me let you quickly weigh in on what we're seeing develop between the governor's office and the Attorney General.
Well, we asked Schuette about that Thursday when he was in. I mean, our read of what he said at his press conference was that he hung the governor out to dry when he says, well, at this time, we haven't found evidence enough to charge him. And, you know, he bent over backwards on Thursday when he was in to say, oh, no, we don't have evidence. He's not under investigation. We haven't found any criminal intent there. But he certainly gave that impression at the press conference. And he says, he told us that was not his intent. I don't know.
But is that politicking? He's running for governor.
And he also said he was in our office also on Thursday and said, you know, of course, as this segment goes on, if more information comes to light, of course we'll take the next step.
He wants it both ways. He wants to leave it open and close it at the same time.
Well, we had Chastity mentioned obstruction of justice, so let's move there and move to what's going on in Washington. Peter, it's been fascinating to watch the ebb and flow of the way that this investigation is going. But it seems to me that the conversation between President Trump and James Comey that happened during that weird dinner that Comey has described, by itself really doesn't amount to much of anything until you fire him. Doesn't that change where we are? Well,
until you fire him, and then the other interesting point to me was when the Coates and Rogers were in front of the committee, and they said, well, what did the president tell you about it? And their response was, we can't talk about that publicly. You know, the fire or the conversation with Comey was probably not an obstruction. I hope is not clear. It would be the start of an investigation. The president, assuming the president said that, and of course the president, I believe, has disputed that. So what you would have there is a he said, he said. But is it enough, perhaps, to start an investigation? I guess now the president has confirmed that there is an obstruction investigation. This is a very difficult crime to prove unless you've got someone shoving documents in a shredder, and even Arthur Anderson avoided that.
Nolan, there's so many moments from these hearings that we've seen. Sessions was another one who said, I can't say that in public. If there's that much that's going on that can't be said publicly, that seems to be a lot that is underneath the surface here that may be more important.
I don't know how uncommon that is, and nor was I shocked by the headline that they were investigating obstruction of justice. You would expect the special prosecutor. I mean, why else is he there? At this point, nobody has presented any evidence that the investigation was obstructed, that it was impeded. Comey said the investigation
You don't think firing the director of the FBI after he denies giving you a bit?
Comey himself said, and others, that the investigation went forward. So he didn't kill the investigation, which I would think play a big role in an obstruction charge if the investigation goes on.
Except the statute says endeavor to obstruct. So it includes attempts, and even if you don't do a good job at it, that could be the basis, and so that's probably what they're going to look at.
It's very interesting how much this mirrors what happened with Nixon. He fires the investigator. Nixon fired the investigator. He says it's the media. They're on a witch hunt. He says it's the media. They're on a witch hunt. I mean, I think that at this point, no one can minimize how important it is to see the American president under criminal investigation. No. And whether people are saying yes, no, maybe so, in public, this is what it is.
Nancy, I'll let you weigh in just a second. Got to get to a quick break. This is Flashpoint on Local 4. We'll continue in just a moment. Back Flashpoint, talking about a lot of things that happened this past week in the news. It's interesting, Nancy, as we get back to where President Trump is at the moment. Once an investigation is open, things can lead anywhere. I was reminded this past week that when Whitewater started, Monica Lewinsky was a junior in college. So all kinds of things can happen once the funnel is open.
Absolutely, and it's only been 5 months. We've got a lot of time left where things could happen. There's a lot of tweets that are going to be sent. There's a lot of, this is as Chastity says, this is a huge deal. We've got President of the United States involved in stuff no one really, this is not good for the country. It doesn't matter where you are politically, this is not a good situation.
Before we leave this matter then, Peter, don't we have to look at the president's tweets as official statements from him, from the White House?
Oh, certainly. And as a prosecutor, they are the statements of a potential defendant. And so they would be used against that person if charges were brought. That's true of anybody.
All right. Let's move now to, we also learned this past week that there is a grand jury investigation going on. Many have suspected as much for some time over the mayor's demolition program in the city of Detroit, which was very troubled at the start. But Nolan, where do you get the sense that all of this lays right now?
Well, I mean, it's not a great way to start a mayoral campaign. That the whole blight program is going to be an issue in this campaign. It already was. The mayor says it does not involve his office, but as we've seen in Washington, how quickly it can get to the executive's office. So, you don't know on what timetable this is going to play out and how it's going to impact the election if something comes down between now and November.
Peter, a lot of neither confirm nor deny kind of things so far, but as you look at it, do you sense that it's the mayor who might be in trouble, or is it the contractors who might be more likely to be on the hook for something?
I expect at this point it's going to be the contractors, because these investigations generally work outside in. You start with the people who got the money, who are doing the work, and find out was anything untoward done. The subpoena itself just says communications with the office of the mayor. Now, that's a pretty good size office. So does it mean Mike Duggan? No, or at least not necessarily. But they're looking now, can they get from the outside, the contractors, to somebody inside with governmental power?
Chastity, do you sense that this is that there's a real race developing for mayor, or is it really Mike Duggan's to lose?
Well, if you're the mayor right now and this is going on, one of your signature programs is under federal investigation, and we have a story coming out in Bridge next week really looking at even if his signature program is going to make a difference. So if they do,
given the enormity of it, you mean?
Given the enormity of it, given the scandal, what's going to lead to, what is it going to lead to? Is it going to be any real redevelopment after they get rid of 40,000 buildings? What's next? So we're going to be looking at that. But the race for mayor really starts to heat up as we start to look towards the primary. So if you're in the mayor's office, Peter, you can tell me if you think this is true. You're probably leaning on the U.S. Attorney's Office to at least leak out that it's not me, it's not the mayor. I'm not under investigation. I'm running for mayor right now.
And the Justice Department loves to say we neither confirm or deny,
on the record.
And then you hope that there is a leak. But the prosecutors are never going to say this person gets a free pass, because when you turn over stones, you don't know what's underneath them.
But this is the sort of stuff leading into an election that can turn the tide.
We've only got about a minute left. Nancy, can you reflect really quickly on what we've watched happen with these ICE arrests and deportments?
I think it really
potential deportments, because they've been put off until at least this week.
I think it really underscores that even things that seem real simple in terms of immigration policy, criminal convictions are bad. When you're talking about deporting someone who's had a criminal conviction to a country where they will probably be killed, it shows how complex this is and how there's no simple solution to this, and that we have to be humane here. Is it right to be put in a situation where you're going to be murdered or enslaved because you had a DUI? I'm not comfortable with that.
No, I'm curious about your thoughts.
It goes against our values. We told these people that if you pay your debt for society, come back and lead a productive life, you'll be okay. Most of them did just that. Most of them have been out of prison for some time now and in leading productive lives. Now we're going to round them up, hand them a death sentence for what may have been a minor crime years ago.
And send them to a place they probably never seen since they were a child.
Many of them, yeah.
Or never, right.
Just the incredible complexity of the immigration system. I mean, we think it's fairly straightforward. My goodness, it is not.
Yeah. Gang, we got to it all, I think, almost. Thank you all very much for being here. Really appreciate it. We come back, we'll sit down for a conversation with David DiChiara, a true Detroit Titan, stepping down at the Michigan Opera Theater. This is Flashpoint on Local 4. There are a number of people whose names are associated with the renaissance of downtown Detroit, certainly people like Dan Gilbert, the Ilitch family, Peter Karmanos, but many will tell you that one of the original pioneers, the man you'd have to put at the top of that list, is none other than Dr. David DiChiara, who is my guest this morning on Flashpoint, who is leaving as the artistic director of the Michigan Opera Theater after 46 years.
Yeah, do we have to count them?
Let's not. Let's just count the, the moments and the memories. Yeah. It was a couple of weeks ago. It was an extraordinary celebration of you and all you've done for Detroit and for the Opera Theater at the Opera House that you built. The night was just full of so many wonderful wishes, memories, performances.
Yeah, wonderful performance.
It was an overwhelming night. For me, it must have been for you.
It was over the top for me, and of course very moving. So many friends, you know, coming to, you know, to just tell me that they cared about me, and I certainly cared about them, and I have had wonderful times bringing those artists. I mean, Denise Graves,
who was there that night, was
there and singing Deep River, so moving, so beautiful, you know. I mean, there's just been so many people who I've had the good fortune to come through my life.
And you've gotten to know them, they've gotten to know you, but of course, we've gotten to live through that as Detroiters because you've brought them into our lives as well. And when we go back through all the extraordinary things that have happened here in a city that I'm not sure a lot of people would have associated with opera.
Yeah,
right. But Andrea Bocelli making his North American debut on an opera stage here. Yeah, the three tenors, Pavarotti being here on a number of occasions. You brought that to us.
I did, and the thing is, if you recall, I mean, the riots were here in '67. Yeah. But I started the opera company in '71, 4 years after that.
And everybody told you you might be crazy.
People told me that it was crazy. But you know, I truly believed, and of course I think still do with a passion, that this is a city that was great and is great. And so we need to do things that reflect that greatness.
A lot of your patrons at the time in the early '70s were in Oakland County and still are to this day. But I think a lot of people at the time would have thought, well, that might be, surely there's a better place for this than downtown in this old theater that hasn't been anything. It goes back to the 1920s.
Yes, 20s.
Which is going to be millions and millions of dollars to restore. Maybe you are a little crazy.
I probably was. But you know, the city is the focus of our greater community, and we must never forget that. Yeah. You know, who wants to have the focus of a community in a suburb? It just doesn't.
You can't think of too many where it works that way.
You know.
It's true. You also have had this undying belief, though, in the power of opera as a medium, as a genre. And I'm always curious, and I've talked about this before, but whether or not it's better to just say, look, it's a boutique that only a select people are going to will enjoy. I think you've always thought many more people can enjoy opera than understand it.
I don't believe that, because image is one thing, you know, in terms of what people think opera might be, but opera is simply words sung, and we hear that in every way, whether it's in country music or in pop music or whatever. And so to hear it sung with voices that have spent years training and that have, you know, the most beautiful quality. I've seen people who come to an opera that have never been, and they are moved by it because the music is very special. I mean, great composers have given us so much.
A columnist asked me a few years ago to come up with the greatest song that I could think of, and it surprised me when I put it all together, and the Nessun Dorma was to me the best thing I could come up with it's for all the things that it does.
It is. I mean, it's truly a hit tune. You know?
Yes, it is.
And every tenor of any, has discovered that, and even those that are not capable of singing it.
Yes,
but,
yes.
We
that would be me in the car.
Well, no, I'm talking about trained tenors.
Yes, trained tenors. Exactly. No, you're so generous with trying to deflect the credit that people often want to give to you, but I think it's hard to get around the fact that you are and have been the Michigan Opera Theater, and I think some people justifiably wonder what's going to happen to it without your force of nature, your force of will.
The Michigan Opera Theater is in great shape. There's wonderful people there now that have the vision of just bringing it forward, building on the foundation, that I created, and I'm so optimistic about this company, and it continues to, as I've always wanted, is to not only do things at the Opera House, but to go into the communities. Yeah. I've been very focused not only on bringing things to the African American community, but to the Latino community, which is a large community.
Yes, it is.
And to do things. I just did an opera last year called Frida, about Frida Kahlo. And, there's so many opportunities. I'm really very excited about the Middle Eastern community.
Sure.
And
it's all about storytelling, and most cultures have this rich storytelling tradition of their own.
In their own tradition, and so we just want to bring another dimension to people.
As all this news came that you were ready to hang it up for a while, and it was tempered by the fact that we found out that you're fighting cancer. And I would be remiss to not ask how you're doing. You look fantastic.
Hey, listen, it's like so many people suffer with these different things, and I happen to be one of them. But I'm very optimistic about it. I know one day or another it'll catch up on me, but I'm certainly not going to be worried about it, and I'm doing well, and I'm excited. I'm working on a book about, the career, but mostly about the city.
Yes.
And it's been a half a century.
Astonishing.
It makes me feel terribly old to think about that I started this company half a century ago, but.
And the last thing I wanted to ask you to have you reflect on, 1996 was when the Opera House opened, and there wasn't a ton around it.
There was
For you to look now at what is around your beautiful Opera House.
It's so exciting, isn't it? Because it has become kind of the, the centerpiece of just the whole development.
Sure has.
And Dan Gilbert has come in, and he's added on to it, and it's really exciting. But we were lonely when we opened Opera House.
No longer.
But as you know, I'm very proud of that house. And so I think we've had like 3 million people have come to the Opera House.
The house that Dr. D built. And you've made the lives of so many of us in Detroit richer, mine included, and I'm so grateful you were here today to talk about it.
My life is enriched by the people that I know, and you're one of those.
Isn't it funny how it works that way?
It does.
As you
That's
give,
what
so
it's
you
all
receive.
about.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you,
D.
friend.
Thank you very much for being here as well. Meet the Press coming up next. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time right back here on Flashpoint. I could.